Looking Forward Our Way podcast addresses today's critical issues affecting adults in Ohio. We focus on issues that affect our money and our neighborhoods. Our expert guests are here to provide the information and resources needed to address those challenges. We are looking forward our way. Hi, this is Brett. No one wants to discuss trash, and we certainly don't want to hear about landfills, but today we're going to focus on healthy living that comes from the successful programs created by the Solid Waste Authority of Central Ohio, or affectionately known as SWACO. Amy Densborn is our expert guest. She's the program manager at SWACO. She's going to provide tips, tricks on how we can create a healthy, sustainable home for our families. Thanks for joining us, Amy.
Thanks for having me, Brett.
Yeah.
Amy, it's great to meet you. As we mentioned when we were talking before the podcast, we have mutual friends in Amy's SWACO colleagues. And so a shout out to both Hannah and Tyler for helping us make this happen today and get Amy in on our schedule. So thank you again for your time and your expertise. Granted, as Brett mentioned, nobody wants to talk about trash, but there are some really wonderful programs that SWACO is doing. And I think a lot of times, your light is still under the bushel. Even with all the publicity and everything that you all do, folks don't realize the value what you're doing in terms of breadth and depth of programs, but that the value that it brings to our community. So again, our thanks for you coming to join us today. SWACO has really transformed our communities through the diverse programs for safe disposal efforts. We have tons and tons of trash that's going to the landfill, and our consumer-driven world has created this crisis. We have so much to discuss today. We want to hear about it all. But before we get started on SWACO, we want to hear more about you, your background, what brought you to SWACO, and tell us a little bit about Amy.
Yeah, thanks, Carol. So I have been a trash enthusiast since I was a little girl.
I was just going to say, does someone actually, when they're young, think they want to get into trash?
Me.
And you did.
Mm-hmm,
That's
I did.
interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
It was my grandma. It was my grandmother who grew up during the Great Depression, and she was such a materials management person and just being really thoughtful about all the items that are in our house, how we use materials to their full potential. We don't discard anything. And as a little girl, I might have thought that was a little over the top, maybe especially as a teenager, when you go through those phases.
It's okay to throw away foil paper.
Exactly. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But as I got older, I really started to rethink Grandma's ways and how wise she was to really use things to their full potential. And I was a recycler when I was a little girl. I was that kid that came home after learning about it in school and got my parents to do it. Let's do this. Why aren't we recycling? Let's get those cans.
Yes.
Cans and bottles in the recycling bin. No, let's go to the landfill. And everyone was on board, thank goodness. But it really just developed and flourished. And I started out in a field of natural resource conservation. I was a wildlife biologist. Kind of in the same light, right? Like I wanted to help preserve the environment for the animals, for them to have the habitat and to make sure we're protecting their natural resources. And then it slowly transitioned into a full-blown love of waste diversion programs and recycling and composting.
Wow.
Well, when you think about when recycling first started, no one thought of it in terms of a career path. So going into natural resources made sense at that point in time, that you would look at the environmental impact of our consumering, if that's a word.
Yeah, there you
consumerism.
go. Yeah.
But the other thing, I was thinking about you this past week. I love the reels on Facebook about people who go to Goodwill.
Me too.
It just cracks me up at what people can get at Goodwill, go home, refurbish it in like 2 minutes, if that long, and then make $100 off of it.
Yeah.
But that's really, when you think about Goodwill's been in recycling for a long time, because it's kept all of that stuff that they make money on to help people, help their clients, but it's kept it out of the landfill.
Yeah, and it's provided a convenient solution for us when we upgrade with our things around our house and we want to be able to do good in our community. Right. We can drop those items off conveniently around us, within 5 to 10 mile radius of our homes. And we know that most of the time that material is going to go on to be used by
Right.
somebody else. So
Right.
it's a feel-good feeling, too, for us as consumers who have those items in our house.
I remember when I went to work at Employment for Seniors, I needed a bookcase. So I went to Habitat's Restore, found a bookcase over there. And then, when I redid lights in my house, I brought the lights to them and somebody got them.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
so wonderful. Thank you again.
Yeah. So nearly 40 years ago, State of Ohio created the Solid Waste District system to better control waste diversion and to help communities reduce their dependence on landfills. We're basically going to run out of disposable land to manage all that we discard. Where were we 40 years ago, and what challenges occurred, and have we been successful in reducing that flow to the landfill?
Great question. It's a complicated one that I'll try to address here. Yeah. I will say that really the goal of a solid waste district is to develop programs that seek to reduce reliance on landfills. So that is SWACO's job in a nutshell. And so we have an array of recycling and composting programs for nonprofits, communities, schools, businesses even. We want to even help the commercial sector reduce their reliance on the landfill because they're 60% of the waste stream. And believe it or not, they need help recycling their cans, bottles, and cardboard. And so we provide that technical assistance through, educational talks. We come out, we do waste audits. We provide the financial assistance that they need to get a sustainable program off the ground. And so there has been real movement in the last 40 years when it comes to recycling your basics. I think it's 97% of single-family households in our county have access to recycling now, which is a huge accomplishment to have. That is kind of unheard of for a major city, a major metropolitan. Where there is room for improvement is with multifamily units. So think your apartments and your condos. Only 1 in 4 of those units have access to recycling on their property right now.
That's interesting because I live in a condominium. We don't have recycling to our door, but the recycling spot for us for the township is like 2 blocks away. So I don't have a lot of excuses to not recycle.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Well, that's nice that you have it within 2 blocks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, while it's not on your property, it sounds like it's still pretty easy to get to, maybe on your way to like the grocery store.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's at the township maintenance where they keep the like salt and all of that, the salt barns for Genoa Township where I live. And so I'm, literally 2 streets away, so I could just pop over there, drop stuff off, and then run to the grocery store. Exactly.
Yeah. And SWACO has a very similar model here in Franklin County. That's who we service, 1.3 million residents, 41 communities, and growing. There's more and more people moving to Columbus, Ohio all the time, which is great for our economy. But those multifamily units are becoming more and more prevalent, more apartments, more condos.
Right.
And we really hope that when they start to build their facilities, they can incorporate a recycling infrastructure from the get-go instead of trying to retrofit it after the fact. And if that's not something that can be done, SWACO wants to fill the gap through our public recycling drop-off program. So we have 54 sites. We're always looking to bring on more locations around the county. So folks like yourself who live in a condo, sounds like you're already utilizing this service and where you live, they have a convenient location to take their recyclables, even if their condo doesn't offer it.
So does SWACO have the opportunity to, I don't want to say interfere, but, get in on the planning of these organizations? Do they contact you or, if they're getting tax abatements, is SWACO part of you get a tax abatement, but you also got to do this?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's not an easy one to address. What I will say that could help a lot with the infrastructure issue and developing recycling from the get-go would be a policy change that required any new multifamily property to implement recycling and to have space for recycling from the get-go. No such ordinances exist at this time. So I think maybe the only community that has a policy in place is Bexley. I know there's other communities that are looking to explore that opportunity, but we are a countywide solid waste district. We really try not to get involved when it comes to like the laws of all the other communities. We try to be a support system, a facilitator, and provide that technical assistance. So, but you're absolutely right. It would certainly help if there was policy in place to make it so apartments had to implement recycling.
Right.
I will also say we do have multifamily recycling resources available to landlords and apartments who they have recycling and maybe they just need some more educational materials. We provide signage. We give new dumpster decals. We'll even provide the tenants with bags for them to collect the recyclables in to then take them out to the dumpster. So we have the resources and someone that can provide that technical assistance. They just need to reach out to us.
Right. And really, we're recycling overall. I'm not saying that this is all under SWACO, but recycling overall is not just pop bottles or wine bottles. We were talking about toxic waste and metal that can go to a junkyard and you can actually make money on it. I mean, there are so many things that we are throwing away that we really could be diverted to another location.
Absolutely. So 76% of what comes to our landfill in Franklin County could have been reduced, reused, or recycled.
Really?
It really doesn't belong in the landfill.
76%.
76% of it. And we do a waste audit where we really go through everybody's trash in the county. We're getting ready to do it again. And we determine what are people throwing away in their garbage. And the number one source of material is food waste. It equals 15% of the total waste stream, or 1 million pounds a day. So that's a real missed opportunity. Some of the food is edible. Does it really belong in our trash if it's edible? We don't think so. Why couldn't that food be rescued and be delivered to someone who is hungry in our community? The food that is inedible, that can't be rescued, not deemed valuable to humans, why not find a composting solution? And so SWACO is working to bring composting infrastructure and such in the next few years to the county. Right now, most of the food scraps go outside the county to be composted, but a local option would be our preference. Less carbon emissions trucking around the material, and we hope it would be even more convenient for haulers to move compostables to the facility.
It's a little scary to think all that you are doing has reduced it only 25%.
Well, I see what you're saying.
In terms of what's going in. Maybe
Yeah.
that's a kind of an apples and oranges sort of comparison. But I mean, that's a lot of effort on SWACO's part, and we're still throwing stuff away we shouldn't be.
Well, I see how you think of it in that way, but we do have a growing population as well.
Mm-hmm. True.
More
Very
people
true.
typically means more waste, right?
Yeah.
So the average Franklin County resident produces around 9 pounds of trash a day.
Ooh.
Now, half of that's going to go on to be recycled or composted, but the other half makes its way to our local landfill in Franklin County, down in Grove City. And so we are constantly trying to think about new educational campaigns of how we can get into the minds of consumers and help motivate them to recycle and compost. Go to the convenience center that we operate that takes all those items that you just referenced, things like hazardous materials like paint and light bulbs and batteries, and the harder to recycle things like styrofoam and scrap metal and appliances. So, but it takes all of us being a part of it, and not just the residents, but also our commercial businesses too. Our multifamily properties, our schools, our buildings, our office spaces, right? Our warehouses. It really is all of us coming together to participate in those programs.
I think the most fun thing that our township does, and I think this is happening all over the place, it's been going on for a few years, are Christmas light strands that no longer work, that can be collected at a recycling area so that it stays out of your machinery.
Yes,
So
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Many communities in our region do a holiday light, like string light return. Yeah. They have value. They have copper inside of them. They can be recovered. They can be recycled and turned into new electronics. So, there's a lot of locations. If you go to our website, you can find all the locations participating in holiday light recycling this year.
Absolutely. So Amy, as I mentioned, my community doesn't have an at your door recycle pickup. So many people don't bother to collect items and drive them to the disposable site, even though it's only, as I said, 2 blocks away. Many don't understand what recycling really is. Others don't think it's important. Give us a clearer picture of what recycling really does include and why it's so critical to our homes.
It's a great question, and it's, I think, one of the biggest issues in our society right now is there's this myth going around that recycling isn't real, that it doesn't matter, and that all my recycling just goes to the landfill anyway. So why would I do it? Well, that's incorrect. Here in our region, I can verify that because there have been big investments. I'm talking $90 million investments in the recycling infrastructure right here by Rumpke Waste and Recycling. They just built a brand new facility last year to take more and more of our recyclables. And so I'm telling you right now, would Rumpke make that investment in our region to recycle our cans and bottles if they were sending it all to the landfill? I don't think so.
Right.
So when we recycle, we conserve natural resources. Many of our materials, like things like glass, they can be recycled infinitely, forever and ever. There's no maximum life on how long you can recycle those. Same thing with aluminum. Aluminum can be recycled infinitely. Things like plastic and paper, they do have what I call like a shelf life. They can only be recycled so many times, but it's still imperative that we recycle them to the max potential to conserve those resources, right? And also think about pollution. Think about all the pollution that's avoided when we recycle our products versus sending them directly to the landfill. Less trucks on the road, less carbon emissions associated with trucking the material down to the landfill. And then I also think about conserving land. I know that we have a lot of land here in Central Ohio, but could that land be better suited for other things? Do we need to use the land for more and more landfills to take up space for for the materials that do have value? Now, there's absolutely a need for a landfill. You can't recycle and compost everything, right? What are you going to do with those dirty diapers, folks?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go in the landfill, right? There are just some things that don't have an end market or a way to be recovered. And that's what a landfill's for. A landfill's not really for your paper, your cans, and your metal.
Right. Well, and again, we have a lot of different opportunities to do recycling in various forms. We have shred-it days that many of the communities are doing that you can get rid of. Not just you're getting rid of important paper that you don't want someone to steal your social security number.
Right.
It's also recycling that paper.
Absolutely.
After it's shredded. As we mentioned, the toxic waste, and there are places that you could go for that. City of Westerville has bins in front of their electric department office, where you can take batteries. So I take my batteries there. So there are different ways. And again, it's like literally, okay, put the jar of batteries in the car and you can drop it off on your way to or from the grocery store.
Right.
It's not like it's that far out of your way.
Well, yeah, we don't expect anyone to make a special trip to on a weekly basis or a monthly basis to drop off these materials. You know, I think of it like collect your materials for a little bit. You know, collect your batteries, your electronics, your styrofoam for a few months. And then once you have enough to make it worth it, make the drive over to drop those materials off.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it seems there are two distinct paths that recycled products will take, either directly to the landfill or into a stream where items can be made into new products or reused in some way. Can you talk more about the actual landfill process first? I mean, what should we look for and how do we get rid of it? You know, we call it a trash or treasure.
So what I'll say about the landfill is we provide tours of the landfill, and I can talk about it all day long. But you know what? I think if you see it with your own eyes and you ask the questions to our in-house expert, you're going to get a lot more out of it. So come and see us for a tour. But if you're not going to come down to visit the landfill, I understand. Essentially, really the biggest things that we don't want in the landfill, the items that can cause issues with our equipment, their safety concern would be things like lithium-ion batteries, which are also end up being an issue for the recycling facility too. They start fires, and they're becoming more and more prevalent in like things like hearing aids, game controllers, iPads, cell phones. I mean, they are everywhere in this day and age as technology continues to advance. And so if you have lithium-ion batteries in your house, I really encourage you to take them to a specialty battery recycler. Our SWACO Convenience Center accepts them down off Jackson Pike. We also have a hazardous waste facility that takes them for free near the Ohio State Fairgrounds. Both of these locations are only for Franklin County residents. So if you're outside the county, I encourage you to check with your local solid waste district to see what programs are available to you. I also know places like Batteries Plus will take them. I think they charge fees. We do not charge fees for our recycling programs, but that's another option to you. So really, that's the most dangerous item that could be thrown away in our trash. Other types of things we really don't want to see in the trash are things like latex paint and paint in general and chemicals. Those do have a location that they can go to be safely disposed of. The latex paint concern is it should be dried out first before we dispose of it. So mix it with kitty litter sawdust before you put it in your trash. And then toxic chemicals like pesticides, gasoline, insecticides, things like that, they should go to the hazardous waste facility to be recycled.
Yeah. And and kind of going back to the batteries as well, too, I think we should really consider how much the earth was taken away from to create that battery, and we should try to recycle it. Because we did some damage getting that battery, the pieces of that to mine it.
Right.
So we probably should try to recycle it as much as we can.
If possible.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that makes sense, don't you?
Yeah.
Just to recover and recycle as much of what we've already extracted from the earth.
Yeah.
Batteries can be recycled over and over again. Right. And the other thing is, I'd encourage you, if you don't already, make the switch to rechargeable batteries. Mm-hmm. The investment up front can be costly, switching from single use to rechargeable. But I tell you what, over the long run, you'll be saving so much money because rechargeable batteries, they can be used 500 to 1,000 times. So that's one of the things we try to do at our house is switch to rechargeable, and we've saved a lot of money over the years. And then we don't have this constant problem of like trying to find a recycling solution for our batteries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm seeing now for the CO detectors as well as the fire, the smoke alarms are 10-year batteries now. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do the 9-volt, and they're becoming smaller.
Yes.
I've noticed because we had to replace one. It was 10 years old. It's like, okay, time to get new. And it's like all of a sudden it's like half the size. I'm going, okay, they're getting smart. 10-year battery as well as smaller size. It's going to, it should be recycled, but it's one of those, it makes sense. It makes sense. I'm seeing the trends in just manufacturing. This is interesting.
And it's going to continue to trend smaller and more efficient and 10-year batteries, 15-year batteries, which is great. But after that 10-year mark, what are you going to do with that battery, though?
You get it recycled.
You're going to bring it to the SWACO Convenience Center, I hope.
Exactly. It needs to go there. Yeah, for sure.
I took my security system battery back to Batteries Plus.
Yeah.
They ordered the new one for me, and I was surprised that they took the old
and I
one.
think the hardest part of taking it to that third party or wherever you go is the first time.
Yeah.
Once you do it, you kind of, now this
deal.
is old hat. I mean, once I started, when I found a place to take electronics, it's not that hard. Just
Absolutely.
put it in a box and you go, like you said, maybe twice a year.
Yeah.
And take all the electronics. And you're doing the right thing.
Right.
As well.
And if the barrier is figuring out where to take it, call us. We answer the phones 8 o'clock to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. We will take that home. We'll do the homework for you. We'll tell you where to take those things. That's why we're here as a resource to Franklin County, and we want to make it as easy as possible to divert your material away from the landfill.
Yeah.
SWACO has had great success in educating us on how to redirect all of these items. As you said, we can still call you if we still aren't sure. But also, when we see all those trucks through the neighborhoods, picking up the glass and the plastic to be transformed, it's kind of exciting to know that we're contributing to our community in general. New programs have been launched, such as a partnership with the nonprofit that we actually had here on our program called Level the Playing Field. So kudos to them for doing a wonderful job recycling sports equipment. The last thing that we need in a landfill is a tennis racket that's perfectly usable.
That's right.
And also creation of outlets to capture and divert items that are hard to recycle, such as textiles. We've had that conversation. Tell us more about some of those innovative partnerships, and how are they also contributing to both our community and the economy?
Outstanding organization. They have really a mission to make it accessible for athletic gear to get into the homes of all the kids in our community. Kids grow out of things so quickly. I have a 2-year-old at home, and I'm like, this fit you last week. And now I have to go buy you new shoes. Are you kidding me? I can only imagine how difficult that must be when we're talking about specialized athletic gear, gloves and cleats, and I could just go on and on. But that can be very costly for a family. And when you are competing with all these other demands, it is really nice to have a program that you can lean on for gently used sports equipment that you know your child is going to be able to wear for the next 6 to 8 months until they outgrow it. But that's absolutely fantastic, and making it accessible. So for those of you who are not aware, we provide them with a grant to get a truck to make it so they can pick up more donations from families where their kids have outgrown these athletic materials, so they can get it into the hands of other families that need those items. So we have drop-off centers all around the county too. If you go to the website, you can find a list of the locations of all the boxes that they have where you can take your items to donate to them.
Right. And Level the Playing Field is actually a national organization. So those of you listening to our podcast who aren't here in Central Ohio, it may be in your area.
That's right.
So take advantage of not only cleaning out the closets and the garage, but making it good for another kid to use. And so, and kudos to Eric for all the work he's done.
So the other program that I'll mention was this past summer, we did a textile pilot program where it was for end-of-life clothing. So think about that stained T-shirt that you've been holding onto for too many years, or those torn towels that you're just like, I cannot let go of. I know I have a lot of them in my basement. And so what the goals of the program were really to try to figure out what consumers, what types of items consumers have in Franklin County, what they're looking to recycle, and if they can sort their material based on signage and get it into the proper location. So when it comes to textile recycling, there aren't a lot of end markets right now, and the technology for sorting different material types is really not there yet. So we have to do the legwork for the sortation on our end to ensure that material can be processed and turned into something new. And that's different than what we do with our commingled recycling stream, right? It really does put the responsibility on the consumer. And we were one of the first community public-facing programs in the nation to do this kind of end-of-life collection program, which is really exciting for the Central Ohio region. And it received a lot of interest, a lot of people were really excited about it, and we were excited about it too. But we're still receiving calls to this day about the pilot program and when it's going to come back. We were able to collect just over 27,000 pounds of clothing, and then of that, about 23,000 pounds was deemed eligible for recycling. And so it went to a textile recycler called Lee Fibers, located in South Carolina. And what they do is they turn fabrics into insulation. So our particular end-of-life clothing was turned into cold packs for shipping of insulation to your home. Like if you order medications or food, my kitty sometimes gets specialty wet food that comes in insulated cold packaging. Insulation can also be turned into things like the linings inside your caskets, inside punching bags, as well as insulation for inside soundproofing of cars.
Interesting.
Oh, okay.
So if you think about it, that stuff doesn't have to be pristine, right?
Cool.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So clothing, it could have, the clothing obviously is going to be different colors and different consistencies, but no one's going to really see the inside of your punching bag, right?
Well, and I'm glad to hear that it's an opportunity to create jobs here in the U.S.
Right.
Because I had assumed all of that material was going to get shipped overseas.
Oh, no, not with this program.
Wow, that's wonderful.
We're looking for domestic solutions. And like I said, there aren't a lot of end markets. There aren't a lot of domestic solutions right now for this type of material. That's why we wanted to start something and see how it went, a 3-month pilot, because we know it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot to try to uncover and navigate. And that's why we wanted to just do something for 3 months, get some lessons learned under our belt, and then hopefully develop a long-term solution here in the region for end-of-life clothing.
That really says a lot, too, for the folks who are watching SWACO's programs. In 3 months, you collected nearly 30,000 pounds of clothing. That is quick, fast, and a lot.
Yes. And I think if we would have kept the program going for just another month or two, we could have doubled that. Because it does take time for people to learn about new programs and initiatives, right?
Yeah.
And word of mouth is really powerful. So we really saw a huge uptick in participation like that last month of the pilot. And if we had more time, we would have increased those numbers.
SWACO has been strategic in educating Central Ohio on how to manage with recycling and disposal of items. I mean, you get school programs, community events, outreach to businesses. The educational efforts not only make our community safer, but also help bottom lines. Talk more about the outreach efforts and maybe highlight those special partnerships.
Yeah, we have a robust outreach and education team that is out and about engaging the community in the evenings and the weekends, answering those questions, reassuring our residents of Franklin County that their efforts to recycle are worth it. You know, that your efforts to take your materials to your local drop-off mean something, and you're doing good for our environment and our economy. The other piece of the question about partnerships, we have a community waste reduction grant where we distribute over $200,000 every year in grant funding to help nonprofits, communities, and schools implement waste reduction programs. We will work with anybody that wants to develop a sustainable recycling program or some sort of composting program. So that includes communities like Hannah, Worthington, Westerville, Dublin, Bexley, Grove City. And so all of them have a different type of request in terms of what they need for their sustainability goals. But we really take pride in our community waste reduction grant and providing that technical assistance and developing those programs to best practices. So that way communities have a sustainable, successful program to go into the future.
The technology has certainly changed in 40 years of SWACO's existence to help in our recycling efforts, but the amount of waste in technology is huge. You had mentioned batteries and things. How has technology been helpful to your efforts, and what do you see on the horizon in that area?
Yeah, so technology is one of those tricky things, isn't it? Like sometimes we love it and sometimes we hate it.
Exactly.
I'm still at the place in my career where I love technology and I'm really leaning on it. And so I'll say one of the advancements in technology that has been really helpful to the recycling industry is having cameras and equipment on the trucks for the recycling trucks that are servicing our routes that are able to capture in real live time the types of materials that people are putting in the recycling bin. So for example, if you were to place like a propane tank or a lithium ion battery in your recycling and the camera was able to detect it, you can take a picture of that, a snapshot of that, and you can send it directly to the resident all through AI. So it's all automated and it goes straight to their house and it says something like, you made a mistake on this item. This item actually doesn't belong in your recycling bin. This is why it's dangerous. And it's an educational opportunity, right? It presents,
Right.
it ties directly to what they put in their bin, the mistake that they made, and then you make it into a learning opportunity for the resident. And so we hope that they're taking that information to heart and they're changing their behaviors in terms of what they place in the recycling bin.
Will it also tell them how they can get rid of it?
Well, that's a good point. I'm not sure if the hauler takes it to that level, but they should.
That's an
Well, yeah,
alternative. So okay, I made a
right,
mistake, but how do I
right,
get rid of it then?
right.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I can't, like a propane tank, for like a gas
Right,
grill kind of thing.
exactly, right.
It's probably not uncommon that happens.
Yeah, I mean, SWACO's not in the business of hauling waste, so we don't see it as much. We have a transfer stations, we haul waste in that way, but yeah, I'm sure it does happen.
Recycling's become a global issue as well. When we send barges of paper or cloth to other countries, they're creating new markets for products to be created and possibly sent back to us for sale. Could you talk a little bit more, maybe provide some more information on the changes that have occurred in the global markets for recyclables and that possible impact on Central Ohio?
Yeah, so it's really the talk of the nation, the changes in the global markets and what has happened to our recyclables. And so back in 2018, China instilled what's called the National Sword Policy, where they basically stopped taking those barges that you just spoke of. They stopped accepting waste from the Western world. they said they closed their ports and they said no more of this material. And so what we're really thankful for here in Central Ohio is we were relatively insulated from that policy change because Rumpke has really made investments in recycling and finding those solutions here in Ohio and in the Midwest to sell our products to. So we are very fortunate to have a strong recycling economy here in Ohio. We weren't relying on those Chinese, Asian markets to begin with. And so other places across the nation were, though. So I can only speak to local implications, but locally we didn't have that issue. We didn't have this this frenzy of trying to figure out who to sell our paper and our cardboard and our cans to, because we had relatively close by solutions. And so what I can say is Rumpke has found partners here in Central Ohio in general. 80% of everything that we recycle here in our community, here in Central Ohio, it stays in our state. So that's really a good sign of having a strong recycling economy, that materials aren't going elsewhere. Mm-hmm. Some material goes to other places in the Midwest, but it's all staying here domestically. So nothing's getting shipped overseas anymore here in our region.
Especially when you think about like cardboard and paper, because we don't have the cardboard and paper plants that we used to have, how can we not try to hold on to that resource here and reuse it as we can, remake it as we can, especially cardboard? I mean, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
What comes around from the Amazon trucks in my neighborhood every week.
You're right.
Wow.
We are really lucky to have a 100% recycled paper mill right here in Ohio. It's in Wapakoneta. It's called Pratt Industries. They only utilize recycled paper to make their new paper boxes.
Wow.
They don't use any virgin trees to make their paper products. That's in our state. That's how far is Wapakoneta from here? An hour and a half?
Hour and a half, yeah.
Right.
So you can feel really good when you recycle your cardboard and your paper products, that it's going to go on to them to likely become a new cardboard box for that Amazon truck that comes up and down your neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I've noticed those Amazon boxes have gone down in what looks like quality, but in actuality, it's down in size, down in the number of flaps, down in weight of it.
Really?
Yeah. It's just they are bringing down the level of use of paper in their boxes.
Yeah, I think they are. I think they realize that a lot of people rely on Amazon to get their goods these days, and they need to be thinking critically about sustainability and finding new ways to have less packaging and to rely on more recycled content. So one thing that Amazon's done that I appreciate and I take advantage of is they allow you to ship the material in the actual box of the package. So say, for example, you want to buy like a blender and maybe you live in a safe area, a safe neighborhood, and you don't have a lot of package theft.
Yeah.
And so they allow you to ship the actual product in the box, the manufacturer box itself, without then putting it in another box, right?
Which is probably double its size.
Its size, and it like rolls around in the box.
Gosh, yes.
And so I think that's a nice offer that they've presented.
Right.
And there's also a trick that you can use where you can have the materials come all on the same day.
Right.
So you can, and they'll give you like digital credits too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So instead of having the truck come to your house like every day all week long, you can wait until all the items are ready for delivery and have them come just once. So that's something else we can do to help protect the environment.
I like the bubble envelopes. And how they show you that, you just, if there's too many like stickers to take off all the stickers and everything, you just put them inside out and reuse them again. They're still going to protect whatever it is you're mailing, but then that bubble envelope has at least 2 uses as opposed to just one and done. So.
Yeah, that's another creative way to reuse those materials.
Exactly. So very good. We're already closing this discussion, which went very quickly. And again, we thank you so much for being with us today. And to our listeners, don't forget, we always have our resources list. Amy's going to help us put all of this information together. We've mentioned a few things today that we want to make sure that you have that easy to access list of resources to find how you can get rid of your disposable items easily, quickly, and the phone number to call at SWACO if you've got any questions. So as we do close our conversation, though, what do you predict we are going to be accomplishing in our future efforts to keep our environment and community free from excess waste? And do you have any last words of wisdom for our listeners on how to make all that happen?
So SWACO has sustainability goals. One of them is called the Green Print. It's really our vision for a more sustainable future. And we really want to try to tackle some of those harder to recycle items. So we talked earlier about end of life clothing. That's one of those materials that we all have in abundance, right? We have clothing in our houses all the time, and there's not a great solution for them. So we hope to bring back an end of life clothing program and make it permanent. The other material stream that we really want to tackle is mattresses. Think about what you do with your old mattresses. You throw them away. There isn't really any great solution here in Ohio to recycle your mattresses. There are other states who have made mattress recycling laws that make it a requirement. We're probably not going to go that far, but we're going to make it an option, make it a viable solution for you to see your mattresses recycled. They'll get deconstructed. The cotton will be recovered, the foam, the wood, the springs. There are recyclers out there that are tackling this, and we want to bring them to Central Ohio to make a program for our community. Some other things that we're looking to tackle, more convenience centers here in our region. So it makes it even easier for residents to have access to convenient recycling, to take all their places to one location. And then increased infrastructure for composting. You know how we made reference earlier to that there aren't local solutions to take your food scraps to. Everything has to be trucked out of the county, which is not great for our environment. So SWACO is looking to add more composting locations here in our region, so it's more cost effective, and there's less trucks leaving our county with our food scraps. Longer term vision, we really have a goal to try to develop more reuse hubs. So reuse is really cool in my book. Remember I talked about my grandma? And my grandma reused everything. She saw potential in everything, but there really is a lot of potential in the stuff that we get rid of, and it doesn't have to be that way. So we're hoping to in the next 4 to 5, 6 years, open a hazardous waste facility for reusable hazardous waste. And you might be thinking, what does that mean? Things like, cleaners, old pesticides that aren't even old, maybe they're unopened, things like that have still useful life, and they don't have to be disposed of. And so putting them on a shelf and making them available to anybody else in our community for free. So we really want to explore that, explore just getting materials back out there into the marketplace, back out into the hands of people that need them before they are recycled or destroyed.
Yeah, I love that idea. Wow, that's great. Well, many thanks to our expert guest, Amy Densborn, Programs Manager for SWACO, the Solid Waste Authority of Central Ohio, for joining us today. And listeners, thank you for joining us. You're going to find the contact information and resources we discussed in the podcast show notes on our website at lookingforwardourway.com. And we are looking forward to hearing your feedback on this or any of our other podcast episodes.
The views and opinions expressed by the experts interviewed on this podcast are their own and don't necessarily reflect the views of the podcast hosts or any affiliated organizations. The information provided in these interviews is for general informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional advice. Listeners are encouraged to consult with qualified professionals for specific advice or information related to their individual circumstances. The podcast host and producers don't endorse or guarantee the accuracy, completeness, or reliability of any information provided by the experts interviewed. Listener discretion is advised.